League of Legends is a funny game, full of funny champions, but Nasus is really interesting for a reason. Actually, two reasons, because of how his Q works, but also because of his passive. Nasus already gains up to 24% lifesteal for free, so I started wondering, how far can we actually push his healing? Now you see Riot recently added new boots to the game which are giving Omnivamp, but I'm sure nobody thought of building them on Nasus. But that's what we're going to do. It is strong on certain champions in its base form, but what took my attention was the upgraded version of the boots once you finished the mid lane quest. Nasus isn't the best champion to play mid in my opinion. He's really weak early game and can get poked down really easily, but if you survive the laning phase, you will have boots that give you 10% Omnivamp, 5% more damage when above 50% health, and if you are below this threshold, you will receive 15% more powerful healing, shielding and regen. But it is transformed as lifesteal for some reason. If you're not familiar with the dog, he's theoretically the infinite scaling champion that gains bonus damage on his Q every time he kills a unit with it. I say theoretically because Nasus kinda struggles after a certain point in the very late game, but today's video is about lifesteal, and that's all his passive is giving to him. A simple lifesteal percentage that scales throughout the game. And now I guess that you see where this is going, right? If you add the rune legend bloodline to it, you can gain an extra 6.70% lifesteal once you have finished stacking the rune and 85 max HP, but we don't really care about this today. Thankfully, Bloodline is a rune which you can find in the Precision tree, and one of its keystone is Conqueror. Basically, you can stack Conqueror up to 12 times. At every stack you can adapt it for, so 80 in our case, and once it's fully stacked, it converts 8% of your damage dealt as health. For the secondary page, we'll go with the Resolve tree to get our hands on Revitalize, which grants the player with 5% extra heal and shield power, and is boosted all the way to 10% if you're below 40% of your HP. But we first need to go through the laning phases, Nasus and on the mid lane, so how are we going to manage that? My first guess was to go Doran's Blade as it gives 2.5% Omnivamp, because, you know, Lifesteal and Omnivamp is all that I care about on this build. But early game we don't deal damage, so we don't heal much off of it, and it basically sucks on Nasus on the mid lane, and on Nasus overall. Usually you don't play for the early game with this champ. So just go for a Doran's Shield instead, and because we have Resolve as our secondary rune page, we can grab Second Wind if we're against a poke mage, or we can go with Bone Plating if we're facing an Akali or a Yone or something that, you know, like all into you on lane, and it should be enough for you to stay alive on the lane. Now, this is where the real fun begins. It is not because you're running full lifesteal Nasus that you shouldn't play a normal early game of Nasus, so just stack. Put your Nasus farming playlist. Personally, mine is the
música para farmear tranqui con Nasus para que al minuto 35 te agarres a palos hasta con Jesucristo.
I linked it in the description below. And when you say cannon, you can flash, die, take a bad reset, I don't care, but you need to go back to lane with 900 gold for a simple reason. It is because it's the Ghost of Vampiric Scepter, and it gives you 7% bonus lifesteal, and it also allows you to rush Blade of the Rune King. Why? Because it gives a sexy 10% lifesteal bonus, 45 AD and 25% attack speed, which we don't really need, but is always useful. But most importantly, it has two passives. First of them, which is the bonus current health damage, which we don't really care about, but the second one gives you a 30% slow on the target you're hitting, and Nasus is easily kiteable, that's why you should rush this item. But there is also a secret item that you can rush. You can also go with the Mercurial Scimitar if you need the QSS early in the game, and MR depending on your matchup. It also gives you a good chunk of AD, 50, and 10% lifesteal. You may have noticed that we didn't go with the Sheen, and it's really unfortunate because Nasus benefits a lot from it because of how its Q works. If you don't really know
what the dog doing,
Nasus' Q, Siphoning Strike, acts as an uncountable wind-up and an auto-attack reset. So when pressing the ability, you will automatically proc the Sheen effect, thus giving you extra damage on the strike. However, we're playing full lifesteal Nasus, and there are no Sheen items that provide such heal. Duskendon. The new version of Dusk and Dawn gives healing based off of your AP and your bonus HP when the effect is used, but it only heals you for 5 HP. And we don't build AP in this build, and we only have one item that gives health, so we're skipping that. At this point in the game, you should have your Bork and your Gluttonous Greaves stacked up, hopefully. From now on, your passive should give you around 18% lifesteal, Legend Blue Line 6.75, and Bork 10%. And you should also have 10% Omnivamp and bonus lifesteal from a Molter Path when below 50% health. But we're not done yet. If the game is not over yet because you drifted by playing my garbage build, you should go for a Bloodthirster to get a massive 15% bonus lifesteal. Then go for a Spirit Visage for its increased healing passive, which is converted into lifesteal on this build for some reason. I thought it would count as heal and chill power, but it is transferred as lifesteal and will multiply all your lifesteal bonuses from now on. It also gives you survivability thanks to its bonus health and magic resist. Then you finish the build with the only 2 items left in the game that provide lifesteal, which are Ravenous Hydra and Mercurial Scimitar if you didn't rush it in the early game. And drum rolls. With your full build, level 18, fully stacked Nasus in the late game, you should get 97% lifesteal and 10% Omnivamp, plus the 8% healing from Conqueror when it's stacked. 600 health and 70 bonus armor and magic resist when ulting, while having a Q dealing around 1000 damage every second. But what if I said that you could go above 100% lifesteal? I mean, you clicked on the video entitled 160% lifesteal Nasus, so 97% is when you are full HP. But thanks to Riot's 200 years of collective game design, Immortal Path's passive allows you to go up to 160% lifesteal when you're low HP. And that's, ladies and gentlemen, 160% lifesteal Nasus. I have actually never been able to be full build with this pick, not because it is absolute doo-doo, but because of my teammates. It is always because of your teammates. Oh, and you can go above 160% lifesteal if you buy the AD Elixir. It will grant you with 12% physical Omnivamp, but it's not added to your lifesteal stats, unfortunately. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. I must credit Harold NA for giving me the idea of making such a video. Don't take this build too seriously, okay? It is not that good. But it is very funny until the enemy discovers about Hemorrhage. Anyways, if you see a Nasus go mid lane and rushing Bork, you will know why.